But that's on a lighter note. The more important thing...
Are you nervous? Are you nervous that Sonia Gandhi has appointed a politician rather than an economist?
Not at all, not at all. We are very happy. We are very happy.
No, because
if something good can be done. We are in fact worried, like Mr. Swaminathan Iyer said, that if we get into election mode and populism and start giving out doles and start writing off farm loans without providing for them in the budget.
So let us
look what they did in 2008.
Piyush, since you're a straight-talking man.
Yes.
And so is Manish Tiwari. I want you to, in a straight manner, point out one of the things which you call a dole and take a position on it tonight.
I have on...
What is a dole as per the definition of the BJP? In existing terms. A dole which needs to be removed. No, don't give me an economic definition of a dole, I know. I want to know what is the dole in existing terms.
See, what I have been repeatedly saying on your channel and on the floor of the House also, the present scheme of things of government spending needs to be refocused to investment towards infrastructure.
Piyush Goyal, I was told that you were one of the toppers of your chartered accountancy examination, and hence I have reason to believe that you would pride yourself on being exact. What is a dole?
Okay, now three things.
What is a dole that the BJP would want taken back?
One, we have a Narega scheme.
Narega, okay.
Which I have been again and again saying needs to be converted into asset building. We need to bring that into a viability gap.
It's not going to happen now in the next 6 months.
Well, it can. We can convert that into a viability gap fund and probably promote investments worth a lakh
Narega in its present form.
You reorient Narega so that assets of a lakh or lakh and a half crores can be created out of that, and it will still give you 40 or 50,000 crores of labor.
You're not going to be able to achieve that between now and the next budget.
But why not? All you need to do is identify infrastructure projects in rural areas, give this money as viability gap, engage the private sector and start getting jobs for the people for actually creating assets rather than giving it to them.
So basically, Piyush Goyal, I hear you say to Manish Tiwari, stop trying to create vote banks.
That's right.
By doling out taxpayer money. But is that all right?
That's right, but I'll give you an even bigger example.
Will you hear his response?
1 minute. I'll give you a second example.
He raised his hand twice.
I'll give you one more example, then Manish can take the floor. Mr. Ankleshwari Iyer will stand testimony to that. When they did the farm loan waiver in 2008,
yes,
they did not provide for that in the budget. They made the banks write off the loans. They told the banks you can show it as a receivable in your balance sheet, and banks have to account on accrual basis. So they showed it as a receivable from the government. Government is on cash basis. They never had to provide for that in their balance sheet as a payable. So it never reflected on the second end of the transaction, never reflected on the government books. And basically you did a populist measure and passed the buck to the next 4 years.
You're accusing the government of fraud.
Well, it's accounting.
What happened the last time?
I asked Pranabda that it's time the government got into accrual system of accounting in my budget speech, and he actually acknowledged it to me. He said it sounds good.
This is incredible. Couple of things. Piyush Goyal seems to suggest that the manner in which Narega was implemented was some kind of a numbers or accounting fraud.
No, I'm talking of the loan waiver.
Besides which, he makes a larger point. Stop trying to create vote banks with the limited cash that you have. Create assets for the country, not vote banks for yourself. Manish Tiwari, your response to Piyush, please.
Well, I think possibly with the background Mr. Piyush Goyal has, he still has a poor grasp of political economy. First of all, allow me to, point out to Mr. Swaminathan Ankleshwar Iyer, when he alluded to 10 Janpaths, that between 2004 and 2008, it is the same team of the Congress President and Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh which presided over a 9 or a 9.5% growth. So therefore, to make that interpolation that the Congress President is in any manner holding back the reform process is completely erroneous. Number two, coming to what Mr. Piyush Goyal had said, if the BJP had such a big problem with the budget, which Mr. Pranab Mukherjee had presented as Finance Minister, they were free to oppose the budget on the floor of the House. Why did the Bharatiya Janata Party, either in the Lok Sabha or in the Raj Sabha, not oppose the finance bill? Without their support in the Raj Sabha, the finance bill would not have got the right.
So finance bill doesn't require to be passed in the Rajya Sabha, Manish. You know that better than me.
Now have the patience to listen.
And I oppose it vehemently.
Have the patience to listen. have the patience to listen. You know, you were more than supportive about the finance bill, which was presented by the government. So you speak in a forked tongue. You say one thing on the floor of the House and say the second thing in a television studio. Coming to Nariga, I think possibly you've not understood.
It's right.
I think possibly you've not understood what the entire intent of Nariga was. The intent of Nariga was to ensure that there would be employment generation to the marginalized, to the weakest sections of society who required it most. It was not an asset building scheme. It does not continue to be an asset building legal architecture. So therefore I think there's a need to understand the intent.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's a toll.
And if the
have
the patience to listen. Have the patience to listen. Your problem is Piyush Goyal. The moment you get controverted, you fly off the handle. Have the patience to listen. And if the Bharatiya Janata Party was so convinced that Nariga is such a bad idea, your state governments should have refused to implement it. They should have said that this is good money which is being thrown down the drain. We in our states will not implement Nariga because we don't consider it to be a national interest. So again, don't talk in a forked tongue.
No,
yes,
I'm trying.
if there are problems with Nariga with regard to and leakages, we can address those. But please do not confuse the intent of Nariga.
Central government scheme cannot be ignored by the
asset creation scheme. It was an act. It's a legislative architecture in order to give employment.
So that's what I'm saying. A legislative architecture state cannot ignore. State has to work in that legislative architecture. I am suggesting you improve that architecture.
Read the Nariga
Make it asset building.
Read the Nariga Act. The states are free to implement their own schemes, and the states are equally free.
Manish Tiwari.
If they feel that they do not require Nariga, they could have stood up and said in the name of
Mr. Tiwari, I also
keep on espousing and touting about that we don't consider it to be a national interest, and therefore we will not implement Nariga.
Mr. Tiwari,
nobody stopped you from doing it.
I began by saying that when I'm in doubt, I will go to the arbiter tonight. Arbiter is listening there. We are not going to him. And the arbiter is Swaminathan Iyer, not me. Because between both of you...
For a change.
For a change. I think the viewers also want to change sometimes. The question tonight is this. You see, I see tonight two political parties, Swaminathan Iyer, which are going to tear at each other on political issues. My question is, there are two things, aren't there, Swami? One is the political fight, which they will have over social sector spending, etc. The other is the great fall of the rupee, the southward direction of the markets, the gloomy growth forecast, the slowdown in industry.
And exports.
And exports. Mike, do you think, Swami, Chidambaram will be able to de-link these two issues and treat them differently?
No. Nor is that the remit of a finance minister. A finance minister has to be a political animal. He cannot just be a technocrat. And I think we are in a situation where politics is very important, given the strained relations of coalition partners within the UPA and the fact that they don't have a majority in the Rajya Sabha. In these circumstances, I mean, Pranab Mukherjee found it difficult to go forward. I think Chidambaram is also going to find it difficult to go forward. He's a clever man, but I don't think his emphasis at this particular point can be on reform. You asking, various things are going downhill. Various things are going downhill not just in India. China is slowing down, Brazil has slowed down to 0.8%, so has Russia, the United States is slowing down. There is a global problem. In these global difficulties, plus our own incompetences, with the two added together, the ability of a new finance minister to wave a magic wand and improve across the board, it's just not possible. We are in for a very tough time.
But there is a weight of expectation, Swami.
In the next 12 months.
There's a weight of expectation.
And I am warning against any expectations that there is going to be a dramatic improvement because Mr. Chidambaram has come there. He has his limitations and the economy currently has its limitations.
Can I bring up one issue?
One small point. I beg to differ with Mr. Iyer. In my opinion, there's a lot that a sincere finance minister can do. I think Mr. Chidambaram should stay away from some contentious issues.
Such as?
For example, if there's, and I'm glad many of the Congress
let's pick up contentious issues. I like
multi-brand retail, FDI and multi-brand retail. It's a contentious issue.
Yeah.
Park it aside.
But
there are so many others which we can sort out.
Why park it aside?
Why not?
Aside?
When the nation, you've seen 6 chief ministers right.
One second,
Manish,
one second.
Why not park these contentious issues aside?
You see,
we can still do 95 out of 100 things.
1 minute. Manish Tiwari has a rebut because you can't handle your ally Nitish Kumar, so you say park it aside.
No, we are not supporting it. What do you mean by not handle Nitish? Nitish is not supporting it.
Nitish has opposed it.
All of us are opposing.
Insofar as multi-brand FDI and retail is concerned, I concede that the Bharatiya Janata Party may have an ideological problem with multi-brand FDI and retail. But let's remember that there are many states which also support multi-brand FDI and retail. All the government of India is doing is putting an enabling structure, in the public domain, which would give the states then the right to choose. If they want to attract FDI and multi-brand retail, they are free to do that.
Can you?
If there is a certain state, a BJP ruled state or an opposition ruled state, which does not want to, they will not give permission, because ultimately, for any multinational or for any other chain to come in, they require permission under the Shops and
Manish Tiwari,
Act.
You first have to build a consensus in the UPA.
For example, why stop a state like Punjab? Now in Punjab, the Akali Dal is not averse to multi-brand FDI and retail.
They have opposed it, my friend.
The Bharatiya Janata Party is averse to multi-brand FDI and retail.